Tunisia versus Morocco. Which country is better? Two North African gems, Tunisia and Morocco, both are absolutely stunning. They're rich in history and incredibly unique, but which one is going to be the better one today? In this video, I'll be comparing them head to head in 6 categories: culture, food, nature, cost, and safety. By the end of it, I'll rate each country from 1 to 5 on each of the mentioned categories, and we will see who is going to be the ultimate winner today. And just to give you guys some context on myself, my name is Yad and I'm from the UK, and I traveled to both of these beautiful countries and created over 100 YouTube videos between the both of them. I've had many requests to make this video from my subscribers, and if you're new here guys, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button, because honestly it helps so much, because YouTube is currently showing me that over 80% of the viewers that watch my videos are not subscribed. So click that button just down below, because honestly it will help so much. But let's dive straight into today's video. Now, the first topic of discussion today is going to be culture, and we will start with Tunisia. Tunisia is a melting pot of Arab, Berber and Mediterranean influences, from the ancient ruins of Carthage to the stunning blue and white village of Sidi Bou Said. Tunisia's history is honestly as diverse as its architecture. One thing that honestly hit me by surprise when I visited Tunisia was the amount of influence it had from the Roman and Carthage times, and it was something that I did not expect or know about prior to visiting. So it was very interesting to learn about how much history the country of Tunisia has. And if we're going to look back at how old the history is in Tunisia, Tunisia's history dates back to over 3,000 years, to the time of the Phoenicians who founded the legendary city of Carthage, and Tunisia has since then been shaped by empires including the Romans, the Byzantines and the Ottomans, and they've left behind a legacy of ancient ruins and rich traditions. And you honestly feel it as soon as you arrive in the country. Now, Morocco, home to iconic cities like Marrakesh and Fez, Morocco is bursting with culture. The bustling souks, the call to prayer echoing through the Medina, and the centuries-old traditions make it feel like you're stepping into a storybook. And one of the best ways I like to explain Morocco to friends and people that haven't been before, it genuinely is like a fairy tale. When you go to cities like the Blue City, or whilst you're in Fez, Marrakesh, you can just feel the history as you're walking through. It really is something very special that you only feel when you're in the country. And Morocco also has an impressive history that stretches back to over 1,200 years, to the establishment of the Idrisid dynasty in the 8th century. Before that, it was inhabited by Berber tribes and influenced by Phoenicians and Romans. So very similar to Tunisia. Morocco's medieval cities like Fez and its blend of Arab, Berber and Andalusian cultures make it a cultural treasure trove that honestly feels so amazing when you're in the country. And when it comes to culture, one thing I'll say when I visited both of these countries is I do feel a lot of similarities, and it's very natural because they're both in North Africa, very close together, and they both share a lot of the history, such as the Berber history and Roman influences. Now we're on the topic of food. Tunisia has honestly some of the most incredible food I've recently had. Think brick, a crispy pastry filled with egg and tuna, or couscous with spicy harissa and lamb or beef. And don't forget there's seafood in Tunisia. And desserts, wow. We had this incredible dessert on our first day and it was so delicious. The dessert we had was called Belouza, and wow, whoever invented Belouza, Mr. whatever your surname is, please let me know in the comments if you're watching this video, because wow, that is one of the most delicious desserts I think I've had in the last 12 months. It's basically like this nugget, hazelnutty, creamy Ferrero Rocher all mixed in one dessert, and it was so good and fluffy. And honestly, after we finished it, it doesn't give you that stuffed feeling where it's like too heavy. So one of the best desserts I've ever had in my life. And something that is very different to the couscous in Morocco is something I want to point out, is that it comes in a red color everywhere I tried it. I'm not sure if this is the harissa. Perhaps Tunisians add harissa inside the couscous. I'm not quite sure. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments if you're from Tunisia. But talking about harissa, this has now become my favorite dip ever. Doesn't matter where I am in the world, I will always try to look for harissa now, and whenever I'm back in the UK next, I'm going to make sure I head over to a shop to buy a big fat amount of harissa to take home to my mum, so when she cooks some food we've got that harissa on the side, because honestly, wow, what a tasty dip. It's like this tomatoey spicy type of dip, and you can literally have it with anything: lamb, beef. A lot of the Tunisians like to have it with tuna. Honestly, love it. It is amazing. 10 out of 10 just for the harissa. Another highlight I'd like to talk about the type of food in Tunisia was their tea. Their mint tea, they have it with almond inside, which I found very interesting. Never had almond with tea around the world. It's the first time. They just leave it inside, and apparently, according to my subscribers and viewers that are watching in the comments, you're supposed to eat the almond first and then you're supposed to sip the tea. So we were doing it wrong, I believe. So next time we'll go back to Tunisia, I want to make sure I do it. We had the almond mint tea in a really nice restaurant in Sidi Bou Said, which was just incredible. It was like a little paradise on the cliff with the blue and white buildings, and wow, it was just such a great experience. One thing I have to say though, that place was very expensive. Some people like to call it a bit of a tourist trap, but honestly, it's worth being trapped in when you've got those views and nice Tunisian vibe. However, one thing I do want to mention regarding the food in Tunisia, and I just want to be totally honest here. I mean, it's all great, the food tasting delicious and everything. That's obviously high, you score high points there. But we got really sick on our first week in Tunisia, and I'm not 100% sure if it's from the food, but I feel like it highly likely is, because obviously before we arrived there was nothing wrong with us. But then when we landed, we went to the really nice restaurant in the beginning, and then we had some other bits in between. We got some type of stomach bug in the first week, so we were like all throwing up, and not the nicest of sights and not the nicest of experiences. And we're only there for a couple of weeks, and we ended up being sick for like almost half of it, which was honestly really tough. I do feel like sometimes when I went to some of the restaurants and some of the places, I felt like they could definitely improve some of their hygiene when it comes to around like touching food and serving it. It was just a little bit I just think that there's some improvements that can be done in that area. Again, that put a little bit of downer on the food, even though it tasted absolutely delicious. Because we got sick in the first week, it was really unfortunate. So far, my first impressions of Tunisia: incredible vibes everywhere. The people, the food, the culture, it's all so vibrant. But let me tell you something. Staying connected here is just as important. Whether it's navigating through these markets or sharing my journey with you in real time, I honestly need solid internet. That's where Holofly comes in. They offer eSIMs for travelers like us, giving you fast and reliable internet without the hassle of hunting for a local SIM at the airport or dealing with insane roaming charges. It's super easy to set up, no physical SIM card required. Just download it from the App Store and install it on your device. Just double check its compatibility with your smartphone to make sure it's all good to go. So if you're traveling soon, whether it's to Tunisia or anywhere else, Holofly's got you covered with over 200 plus destinations with unlimited data and hotspot capability. The best part, I've got a discount code for you. Use Yad Ventures at checkout or click the link in the pinned comment or description for your special discount. Or if you're watching from the TV, just scan this QR code. Now, when it comes to Morocco certainly is a foodie paradise. From tagines, pastilles, and the sweet and savory flavors of the Morocco cuisine honestly are unmatched. And let's not forget the iconic mint tea. It's in itself a cultural experience wherever you are. You could be on a side street in the Medina or just somewhere near your house. You can just sit in a cafe, and the way you have the Moroccan tea, it's served with the special way or from the height. And I believe the reason for that is so that the higher they serve the mint tea, the more foam you get. So you get that really nice foamy feel when you drink it. Very unique. And one thing I loved about Morocco was a lot of the restaurants that we went to had such a unique and cultural vibe, which I love. Famous restaurants like Darnaji over in Rabat, where they have live performances and music, to even more luxury types of restaurants in Marrakesh. I feel like Morocco is just an absolute melting pot of different foods from local to even food from around the world. I feel when it comes to diversity, Morocco definitely has a wider scale of options when it comes to food. And that probably is because of the amount of tourism Morocco has. I mean, it's such a touristic country. They have so many visitors coming, thousands of thousands each year. So I guess they're just more catering towards that, which makes sense. But I guess it depends which type of traveler you are, if you prefer mainly local dishes being served or would you like a touch of your home comfort? For me personally, it depends how long I'm in a country. If I'm in a country for about a week or so, I don't care about home comforts. All I want to do is literally just dive in and have exactly what the locals have. But if I'm there for, say, more than 2 weeks, you start missing some of your home comforts like your modern foods or anything that kind of reminds you of food from back home. So it's nice to have a variety. Now let's touch on nature. Of course, both countries have such beautiful nature. However, let's start off with Tunisia. Tunisia's landscapes are incredibly diverse, from golden dunes of the Sahara to the turquoise waters of Hammamet, where you have a gorgeous view over the Mediterranean. It really is stunning, and it's a very small country with a lot to offer. Plus, it's home to Star Wars filming locations, which is a bonus for any fan. As mentioned earlier, I was in Tunisia for 2 weeks, so to be honest, I didn't get to see most of the country, only some of the hotspots such as the capital Tunis, Sidi Bou Said, Hammamet, and some of the rural areas like Takruna Berber village and Zibra Ali. I definitely have so much more to uncover when it comes to Tunisia, like Djerba and Sousse. I'm sure my Tunisian subscribers will have a lot to say about some of the areas that I need to see. Next time we visit there, please leave that in the comments so that we can make a note for next time. Now, just before we move on to Morocco, it's important to mention that Morocco is significantly larger than Tunisia. Morocco's land area is approximately 446,550 square kilometers, making it about 2.7 times larger than Tunisia, which spans around 163,000 square kilometers. This means Tunisia is roughly 36.64% the size of Morocco. So naturally, Morocco's nature will be more diverse. Morocco's natural beauty is on another level, from the towering Atlas Mountains, the vast Sahara, and even the lush green valleys, making it a nature lover's dream. I did also spend a considerable amount of time in Morocco, where I basically visited nearly every major city in the country and saw some of the most jaw-dropping scenery. Morocco is honestly such a special country because it just has it all. If you want the city life, you can have that in Casablanca, or if you just want to get away in the mountains of the Atlas, you can just take a drive there from Marrakesh, or if you want some lush greenery, you can spend some time in Rabat, where it's as green as some parts of Europe. Now, the next thing that we're going to be comparing between the two countries is the cost, and we'll start off with Tunisia. Now, when we talk about cost and Tunisia, I honestly could not believe how cheap Tunisia was. I'll start off by the cost of the restaurants. I go to a really nice restaurant and we had a 4-course meal with water, drinks, desserts, I mean, you name it. We had the whole lot, and it only cost us around 20 British pounds. Or we went to a super high-end place in Sidi Bou Said, which we paid around 40 British pounds for such a high-end meal, and it was just tasted so good. I mean, in those type of restaurants, if we were to go in Morocco, for example, we'd easily be paying double the price. Or not even just Morocco, anywhere in like my home country, like in the UK, we're paying like 150 pounds minimum. And then when it comes to groceries in Tunisia, it is the cheapest country I've ever bought groceries from. And I believe it's because the government subsides some of the costs when it comes to groceries. So this is why it's much cheaper. Like for about 20 British pounds, I was able to go away with about 3 days worth of food. Just about, yeah, or let's say 25 British pounds. For about, I could get 3 days worth of food, like some yogurt, some meat, some cheese, some bread, and it lasted for 3 days. Whereas if I was to spend £20 in, let's say, Morocco, for example, that would probably be easily just for 1 day. Just like the rest of the world, a lot of the places. And when it comes to accommodation in Tunisia, I also feel like it was fairly affordable, but at the same time, it actually wasn't cheap. Maybe there are cheaper options, but we just didn't find them at the time we were there. If you want to stay in like a modern area like we did, we spent around close to £500 for 2 weeks, which honestly is very high for Tunisia. But that is an Airbnb price, which of course is always going to be higher than your typical rental prices if you actually live in Tunisia, but I'm just talking from a touristic perspective. Now, when it comes to Morocco and cost, some of the tourist hotspots, you won't be paying too crazy prices, to be honest. It was fairly affordable for the food and drinks, but that can easily change if you want to go to a more modern style Moroccan restaurant. You can easily pay £100 or above for 2 people. And the general cost for eating out in Morocco is definitely, I would say, double Tunisia, just from personal experience. And in terms of groceries in Morocco, it's very similar to the UK. If you go to a more modern style grocery store, you could easily be paying £60 for like 3 days worth of food, which is I guess very similar to UK style prices. However, you can also go to markets that there are a lot in Morocco. They're very rich in markets. For example, in Agadir, you could go to the Agadir Souk El Had, I believe it was called, and you can pick up your nuts, dates, honey, and fruit and vegetables for cheaper than the supermarkets. But generally speaking, things were definitely more expensive in Morocco. Now it's time to talk about the people in both of these countries. When it comes to people, I must say that both countries are incredibly warm, hospitable, and always willing to share a story or offer directions when needing them. Both countries would openly invite you into their homes and give you an experience you wouldn't forget. In terms of general communications with the locals in both countries, I would say that it was easier to speak to Moroccans in their country, mainly because everyone that we spoke to Moroccan-wise could communicate in English, which of course as a tourist is very beneficial for me, as that being one of my primary languages. Whether if it was just asking for directions or just generally speaking to people in the shops, it was very easy to communicate. When it comes to Tunisia, I felt that some of the locals were not as fluent in English as, let's say, in Morocco. When Morocco, everybody basically was able to communicate in English, where in Tunisia I found that some places that we went to, they just weren't able to communicate in English, which again, it's not like a big issue because at the end of the day, why should they? It's their country, their main language is not English, so they don't need to speak English. But I'm just saying from a touristic perspective, for me, how it was in comparison to Morocco. However, it wasn't like a big issue. We still was able to communicate and get around because most people did speak English. We actually had a very funny encounter in Tunisia, in the Medina, and we was actually trying to order some tea, and then the waiter asked the young girl to help. And going by the comments, by my viewers, you guys were saying that the girl was also getting the translation wrong, which a lot of you were having a laugh about in the comments. But for us personally, this was a funny experience, and it was nice that they still tried to help us to get the mint tea that we wanted. Let's talk about safety. When it comes to safety and Tunisia, before visiting, there was a lot of information online and on our government websites about what previously happened, which you can't ignore, especially as a tourist. And I know many people say this happened years ago, however, it still did occur. The attack that happened on tourists was very sad, and it did damage the tourist industry in Tunisia very much. However, this being said, there was not a single part of me that felt in danger when I was traveling in Tunisia. From walking around the different cities, I was with my family and everyone was really friendly and helpful. So in terms of safety in Tunisia as of today, from my personal experience, it was totally fine. Bearing in mind I was walking around with a big camera, a little camera, no issues, nobody ever came up to us or said anything at all. And when it comes to safety in Morocco, honestly, there is police on nearly every side of the corner in Morocco. Whether you're on the motorways, the Medina, the shops, they're literally everywhere police in Morocco, so they make you feel extra safe, a little bit too safe sometimes. And honestly, the royal family are investing heavily in security and safety in the country, and they're always ensuring that the roads, streets, and the general feel of the country is very safe, which I honestly love as a traveller. Don't get me wrong, some of their extra police checks on the motorway can be a little bit frustrating sometimes because they always pull you over for like your documents and all of that type of stuff, which is a little bit, just makes you feel like uneasy on edge sometimes because it's just a little bit too much police when it comes to the motorways. But to be honest, I can see why they do it, because they want to make sure that the Moroccan drivers are not going too crazy and driving too fast. There's a lot of speed checks, and that is one thing I have to say actually that Tunisia needs to improve on, is the driving, the speed when it comes to how fast people drive on the motorway. I feel like there was no cameras really, or maybe there was the odd one or two that I saw, whereas in Morocco, probably every 10, maybe even 7 to 10 minutes that you drive, or 15 minutes, there will be some form of camera. Now that being said, when it comes to Morocco, the only issue I faced was when we were in Tangier, where someone broke and tried to steal our car side mirror. It was very annoying because it cost me 200 euros to replace for the rental company, and this was very unfortunate. But when I spoke to our car rental guy that I use every time I go to Morocco, he said honestly this is nothing compared to some of the bigger issues he has with his more prestigious cars. So that's just something I would be careful for. I guess it could happen anyway, maybe we were just unlucky, but again, I'm just being honest here and sharing something that happened. And to be honest, when it actually happened, I didn't manage to film the experience and talk about it, so this is the first time I've actually brought that up to my Moroccan subscribers. Conclusion and scores. So now guys, it's time to conclude each of the above points that I spoke about earlier in this video from 1 to 5. Now let's start with culture. Starting off with Tunisia. I love the Carthage ruins, and I truly felt like I learned something new about North Africa and what incredible influence there was in Tunisia from 3,000 years ago. So I'm definitely giving Tunisia 5 out of 5 when it comes to culture. And for Morocco, I'll also be giving Morocco 5 out of 5. You just can't ignore the amount of culture that breeds through the country from the Moroccan people. It really is just exceptional. Number 2 is food. I'll be rating the Tunisian food 4 out of 5. Because as much as I loved nearly everything that I tasted, I just can't ignore the fact that we got sick the first week, which left a bit of a downer on our trip, and that was mainly one of the main reasons I'm striking off the point, and otherwise I would have probably given it a 5 out of 5. Also, just one more thing I forgot to mention on this part is I just felt like there was a lack of variety with food when it came to like the grocery stores. There was not a lot of options when it came to food in terms of buying stuff in the groceries in Tunisia. For Morocco, I have to rate it 5 out of 5 when it comes to food. And this has to be due to the variety of different types of food that you can get in the country, and also the Moroccan food itself. It is incredibly flavorful and delicious. So when it comes to food, I am giving it to Morocco. Number 3, nature. Let's see who wins this one. When it comes to nature, as much as I love the nature from Tunisia, I will have to rate it a 3 out of 5. I felt like a lot of the country still needs to be developed, and it has a long way to go to compare with its neighbor. It is a smaller country, so the government should be doing more, making more effort in bringing some of its nature to life. For Morocco, however, I'm going to be giving them a 5 out of 5 for nature. The reason I'll be giving them 5 out of 5 is mainly due to the fact that the country basically offers absolutely everything from city landscapes to lush greenery, deserts, beautiful beaches, mountains, and I mean, you name it, this country has it all. So Morocco is winning on nature. Next, we're going to be talking about cost. When it comes to cost, I will be giving Tunisia a 5 out of 5. I felt like everything we did was very, very affordable, and the value for money that came with it was honestly a 5 out of 5. The cost for Morocco, I'm going to give them a 4 out of 5. As much as some of the things are cheap in Morocco, it is still fairly expensive when it comes to general shopping and getting around, so it's a little bit more expensive than Tunisia. So the winner for affordability is going to definitely go to Tunisia on this one. And number 5, people. I'll be straight up here and say again that people from both countries were incredibly friendly, hospitable, and great to be around. I would have given both countries a 5 out of 5 here, but Tunisia will get a slightly less point, as I'll be giving Tunisia a 4 out of 5, mainly because of the language barrier. As a tourist, it was a little bit more difficult in some occasions, so that's why for me Morocco just edges it with a 5 out of 5 because it was easier to navigate and communicate. So Morocco wins on this one. Now, which country is the safest? As I mentioned earlier, both countries honestly felt incredibly safe, so this one for me is going to be a draw. I'll be giving both countries here a 5 out of 5, so a point for Morocco and another point for Tunisia. However, now it's time to add up the tally to see which country had the most points, and I believe here we've got Morocco with 5 points and Tunisia with 2 points. So well done Morocco for winning today's video. However, let me just say one thing. This is just purely based on experience. It's not factual. It's just my personal experience of how it was when we went to Tunisia and to Morocco, and honestly I genuinely loved both of these countries, and as you can see, it was very, very close in terms of the scoring, and I just feel like Morocco edged it overall, mainly because of how much more developed it is, and I just feel like Tunisia still has quite a long way to go to get there, but I do believe once they get there, Tunisia is going to be such an incredible country. It just needs that real big push from whoever it is that's managing that side of in the country to really give the country that extra push that it deserves, because it has some incredible food, the people are amazing, nature's gorgeous. They really do have it all as well, just like Morocco, but they are still a little bit behind when it comes to development. And I think once they develop the country of Tunisia more, it will definitely be a very strong contender in the future. But you know, Morocco, as a lot of people know around the world, it has been a tourist hub for so many years, so they've had a lot of time to develop, they've had a lot of time to get things moving. And again, it's because I think with Morocco you have the royal family that are really doing a lot of things behind the scene, that are pushing the country to be as great as it is today. So well done Morocco, and of course well done Tunisia, because both countries equally are stunning places and I loved both of them, and I can't wait to return to either one in the future and experience some of the places that I haven't seen before. And as always guys, please leave your thoughts, comments down below, and anything that you felt like you want to add to the video or you want to say. It's open, and of course be kind to one another. You know, your neighbors, let's not Let's not fight over these points. You can have opinions, but let's not fight over them. Let's just have some fun with it, because that's what this is. And as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. For my subscribers from Tunisia and Morocco, and for the new viewers that are here, as I said earlier in the video, over 80% of viewers that watch the video forget to press subscribe button. So please hit that button, because it helps so much. Anyway, guys, that's enough of me talking. I'm going to now read through your comments and see what you guys have to say. And thank you all for watching. Good night, and I'll see you all on the next video. Good night.